Beautiful people, welcome to my channel. Thank you for clicking on my video. Feminism, womanism, the black family, and the lovely Queen Mother Shahrazad Ali. Let's get into it. Let's talk about these things. Good day, or afternoon, or night, or whatever. Thank you for clicking on my video and welcome to my channel. So today we're talking about the famous three, or the contentious three: feminism or womanism, black family, and the lovely Queen Mother Shahrazad Ali. Guys, I just felt like I needed to chime in because I've been listening to very interesting conversations, thought-provoking conversations from the women's side, or what they call the women's sphere, as well as very interesting thought-provoking conversations and viewpoints from the manosphere as well. And I was like, you know what? I'll try to just bring it in together, like meet in the middle, because I come from and I've made videos about this. Check them out. I'll try to link one or two videos that I've talked about my stance on this. I am an evolving feminist, and I think like now I identify better as a womanist. So anyway, I don't want to rant, but I felt like this is the best place for me to start to try to talk about this. You know, I am a student of life and a student of social psychology as well, and my view in life is that I feel like we as a black community are moving slowly post being a monolith. You know, we are a community that is evolving, and our culture is evolving, and we need to talk about these conversations, and that's what my channel is about. So today I am reviewing a speech from the lovely Shahrazad Ali that she made about her book. Let's just get to the video.
My position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is the direct cause of the breakdown in our black family structure. Now, of course, there are many black people who consider those fighting words.
And let me talk to this, because I understand immediately when she starts with this, it's like people start getting defensive, and I feel like I understand where she's coming from. And it's not to say that I'm a pick-me or anything, but I understand where she's coming from, because our role primarily as the women, before we became emancipated and liberated and had jobs and education and all this, our role was primarily to, you know, be the wife, be the mother, you know, keep the household intact and whatnot. So when this role was evolving, or we as women were evolving because of what like the circumstances were in the communities, and I know this is about the US, but it still applies to South Africa as well, believe it or not, because apartheid. Anyway, so I relate. So I'm talking from our perspective as South Africans. So anyway, so the role evolves, you know, and to a certain extent, we didn't have the necessary conversations that we were supposed to have about what our needs were. Maybe we were not heard. Yes, we were not heard. We were not listened to. And the approach that we took, and the approach that we're continuing to take, is that of people that don't share the same life experiences as us. We do know, and we say it proudly. I've heard the sister Cynthia G actually accepting the fact that the feminist movement was created by white women for emancipation from their men and the system and everything. And I understand to a certain extent the first wave of feminism, because I don't want to go on a rant, but we as the women, we are the ones who cook for our children. We're the ones who give birth to children. We're the first-hand teacher of the children. So majority of the responsibility, and I know it's not nice to hear, but majority of the responsibility, I want to get back to the video, majority of the responsibility is on us as mothers. It's on us as women, because we do give birth. No matter how feminist or how evolved we can be, we are at the end of the day going to be giving birth. That is a responsibility that nature gave to us. But anyway,
because as black women, we have never been subject to the kind of examination that our men have been subject to since we have been here. We have been somewhat protected and shielded from any kind of critiquing about our personal behavior, whereas our men have always been up for examination. The book is not an attack on black women. I have never said that all black women do everything.
And yes, I agree. I agree that circumstances in the US are not the same as our circumstances in South Africa. We're still trying to establish our own presence. Yes, that's a better word. We're still trying to establish our presence as the feminine in South Africa, and the first wave in South Africa of feminism, I feel, was after 2010. I think it started to gain traction, and we're only starting to make sense of a lot of things. So what she's talking to, I really can't have that much say. I understand what they say. I understand what she's saying from my own research. That's what it is, from the welfare to housing to child support. But I don't want to talk about that. Let's continue watching.
That I list in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything that I list in the book, but most of us do some of the things that I've listed in my book. And I do say that it is not because of generalizations that we are all victimized by some of the negative patterns of behavior in the book, but the book just represents our collective contribution. This is some of everything that we have done or that we do daily that contributes to the breakup of our relationship, the destruction of our man, and the failure of our children to be able to function. They did not tell us that all of that, being my own person and I'm independent, would lead to separation, loneliness.
And I need to talk to this. I feel like, wow, and like I'm gonna hone on this, and I'm gonna keep on doing it until we fix our own family lives. Because guys, we need to work together. We need, like, if you're heterosexual, whether you're homosexual or heterosexual, guys, if we want to be in a loving relationship, whether it's polygamous, monogamous, or whatever, we need to have some form of structure, some form of order, because now it seems as if we're trying to make excuses for being degenerate, for wanting to sleep around, for wanting to, have children that will not even have children. Guys, if we I don't wanna go on this rant. I digress. But on a serious note, we need to have healthy relationships with the people that we choose to have sex with, the people that we choose to have children with, so that even if our relationships do not go anywhere with those people, if we have children with them, it will enable us to have a lifelong relationship, because you cannot divorce a child. Your relationship, you need to make plans, co-parent. There's no need for you, just because now you're no longer in a relationship with somebody, for you to butt heads. And once you realize that maybe you find yourself single, you've broken up with somebody, or you are divorced, there's a trend that's going on of people wanting to claim as if it's also nice to be single, I'm an independent. It's nice to be independent. It's nice to have your own money. But it's also nice to have somebody to assist you in this. Especially somebody who really loves you. Somebody who will play on your team. Somebody who's a partner, So I feel like it's nice to be independent, but it's also nicer to you, and it allows you to be more feminine, to have a partner and to have a healthy relationship, especially when you have children. Because it's very good for children to see, and I'll talk more on this, on my experience growing up in a fatherless home, and it was not a very fun experience, guys. It's not fun. And I'll talk to that. And it's very sensitive issues that we need to talk about.
Celibacy and lesbianism. They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got.
And I talk about this in my video of toxic femininity, and that was just part 1. I will go more on this. Toxic femininity as well as toxic masculinity, but I will not rest on toxic masculinity because I am feminine. I am a female. I understand what works for me. I understand what comes naturally and what I have to actually dig deep to actually try and master, So I talk about this, and it's something that I'm going to hone in on. And I am going to talk about toxic masculinity, especially with my partner, so that he talks to the male side, because I refuse as a woman to talk to men issues. That's why even if it seems as if I'm bashing or I'm supporting people who are pick-me's or whatnot, but it doesn't mean that I'm not on the side of the women, but I am really on the side of femininity, because the feminism was supposed to big up femininity so that we can rest and be in our glory with our wombs and taking care of our vaginas. I'm sorry, of our private parts, in order for us to, girls, I don't know where we went wrong, but let's continue.
Got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with being with no man. We have some serious relationship problems that nobody has been able to address us on because everybody wants to pretend that this is not going on. Over 60% of our women are single, widowed, separated, or divorced. They don't have a man. I just came out of Florida.
And it's a trend that is slowly picking up in South Africa. And I don't want it to happen because maybe when we're looking in the US, it looks attractive, but it's not, because it has dire consequences on the children that we give birth to.
And they got a housing complex that the Urban League built, which is a black organization that is for women and children only. They say they don't allow any men in there. I didn't have time to deal with it, but I talked about them real bad. That's the silliest program I've ever heard of. Them women that had men, if they got a bunch of children, they need fathers. They need protection.
Yes. Proud single mother. You can be single, but at least allow your child to have a relationship with his father or her father, so that when you want to start dating, the father is in the picture, so that the father can be a protector. Because if you have a good relationship with the father of the child, no matter what, you will always have priority position in his life, because you are the person that is raising his child, right? Or his children.
We hear about the drug problem that we have in our projects across the country. It's one of the major places that we have a drug problem.
Also gaining traction in South Africa is this drug conversation. Our young men are not being taken care of. Our young men take a girl child to work and forget about the young boy child. Look at what is happening in our townships. We as women, we go to work. What's happening to our boys? What's happening? There's a drug in South Africa that is called nyaube. It's a motherfucker.
We talk about the great strength that we have as black women. Well, the welfare department don't rent government apartments to single black men. Those apartments belong to black women who are allowing this to go on in their home. We have not.
I just hope that this never happens in South Africa. We're still on the child grant conversation. I just hope it never happens. And I'm sorry if I'm stepping on anybody's toes. But no, guys.
Looked at what part of the responsibility do we share? Yes, black men sell a lot of drugs, and a lot of us black women get the money from them drugs and buy some of these fancy clothes we wear. Drive around in some of these fancy cars. He is not doing these things alone and without support from us, whether they are good or bad. See, we have a lot of power. We are very strong women. I'm saying that we're using our strength in the wrong direction. We're using it to tear our man down, tear our nation down, instead of building it up.
Yes, pertinent point. Yes, we do, and that's where I anchor in on. That's my niche. That is my niche. because there is a lot of power in being feminine. And chasing masculinity in the guise of being feminine is not the answer. I understand if we absolutely need to, assimilate that, the role of being male when you absolutely need to, when you need to walk past, and then it's so sad, walk in a dangerous place or whatever. But when you are at home with your partner, or at home, yes, with your partner, there's no need for you to be rough and tough and all these things. We really don't. There's no need.
Having an education and a job does not necessarily mean you have a successful life.
That's true. Those are still masculine traits. I'm sorry, but it's facts. Just because you have a house and a job and all these things doesn't necessarily mean that you'll make a good mother. Doesn't necessarily mean that you'll make a good wife. And I'm sorry, nature gave you the responsibility to birth people. No matter how much you want to manufacture yourself into the modern woman who doesn't, whatever, girls. Fact is natural, and I'm all about natural, man.
I keep telling black women that to raise a child, they say, well, I provided with food, clothing, and shelter. That's not raising a child, that's maintaining one. To raise a child, you need a parental coalition of a man and a woman. We have sons who, by not having a father in the home, they don't know how to respect women. They take on the black female emotionalism. They're doubtful. They're indecisive. They can't make a decision. They don't know what to do about being a man because we can't teach them that. We don't have that knowledge. We have daughters who grow up in a home where they don't see any affection, where there's no man there. They go out into the world and try to mate. They don't have no idea how to be no woman to no man.
This point speaks home. And I think I'll just make different videos breaking this down, because I don't want this video to be a long video.
How to function in a house with a man, because they haven't seen it. Most of our children, just like us, get all the information we have about how you be with a mate off television.
Yep.
It's the only medium that shows us anybody being together. Those rules have not worked for us. The white woman's liberation movement, we don't have anything to do with that. We have not been under the control of the black man for over 500 years, so what do we have to get liberated from them from? They haven't been our boss. That's the...
Yes, and I'll talk to this. There's a lot of layers to this. But we'll talk to it.
White woman and her man, they're going through that, and that's their business. We don't have any business being in that. They only introduced it to break down the civil rights movement. Civil rights movement started with the black man, the black woman, and the black child standing together, trying to plead for freedom, justice, and equality, and more benefits in the country that they had to have built. They threw the white woman in there with the women's liberation movement and made it a woman against man thing. That created a big separation between black men and black women, because then everybody started going for self. Then they bring the welfare system in and tell us in order to feed and clothe and house our children, we have to give up our man. You have to put the man out of the house. When the white farm wife goes to the government for subsidy for the farm, they don't tell her to get rid of the farmer. They keep that family together. But in the black community, they make it a requirement, because they want to keep endorsing into the black community that the black man is no good, and that he is not deserving of respect. He is not deserving of us letting him give us any protection or instruction, and that we are better than them. The major responsibility that the black woman has had on the earth for the trillions of years that we have been here has been one of nutrition and birthing children. Those two things have a great deal.
And I just said that earlier. She's not lying. Let's fight with nature, guys. Let's tell nature how nature is insensitive. Let's tell nature how it's just not right. It's just not fair. When you receive your menses during the month, your omegas, we call them omegas. When you receive every time when you go to the, just go tell nature how unfair she is.
Deal to do with the survival of any people, the reproduction of the nation, and feeding them the proper food so that they can live. Those are very important jobs. Those are very powerful positions, because it puts us in a position to decide who's going to live or die.
And why is it that we haven't received this memo? Why is the memo missing this generation, good people? The memo that this is a very, very important role. It's like a teacher. Everybody in life, whether you're a doctor, a president, or whatever, you come from the clutches of a teacher.
How slow they gonna die by what we feed them.
But then again, in a patriarchal society, the most important roles that are nourishing roles, that are life or death roles, are not given that much. Maybe that's why our generation that are not given that much value. There's no value attached to them. That's why maybe the generation that is coming now is trying to be men, because hey, if everything happens nicely for men, everybody's respected because they're men. Why not?
We have a very powerful position. That's not a small role that we play. We have just been taught to misrepresent and misuse that power. The people who we have been counting on to give us the truth about how to get along have failed. The white people don't know how to get along. They don't have that information themselves. They don't get along with nobody on earth.
But the thing is, in 2021, I have a different view, and I'll make a different video just about this clip.
They didn't have no information to impart to us about how we're supposed to get along. They changed their relationship rules at will. We have, tons.
We have degenerated post this. I think this was the late 90s. We as the black community are not where we would like to be, or where we'd like to pretend to be, where we feel we're no longer there. So we need to talk to this delusion. It makes sense for the mamas, because in their generation that's what they saw. But for us, it's a different conversation.
Tons of black children around this country that I hear from who have grown up traumatized by the fact that they were referred to as the outside child. When we were having children like that, they called it illegitimate children, until the white woman started having them, and that's single parenting. See, they changed the rules according to what they're doing. So I've called on our people to change them depending on what we want to do, what our needs are.
That's true. I agree. We need, and that's what my channel does. It tries to start these conversations that we need to start having, because we need to start restructuring our lives, because wow.
There's another need that has not been addressed in our community, because nobody would deal with it, and that's one that God did not create three sexes. We only have men and women. Now, I have not said that we should reject the sisters who try and act like men and the men who try and act like women. I'm not saying to reject them from among us, but they need to be taught. We don't have to accept that as some kind of normalcy, because that's not normal. I'm trying to demonstrate how they have set rules that they have forced us to follow that they don't even follow themselves. They changed the rules to suit them.
I feel like let me just allow myself to swipe past the point that she just made. I think as the black community, we need to deal and talk to, head on to the conversation of homophobia, and unpack it. Why is it? Why are we homophobic? Unpack it. Is it? I'll make a video about this. Is it because? Excuse me. Is it because the people won't be having children? Is it because most of the some gay men, when they want to portray themselves as women, they choose to be the most degenerate female? What's the conversation? Let's have it, because we need to have these difficult conversations.
Ready. We can change them to suit us when we get ready, especially if we have what we have now, which is a failing system. It hasn't worked for us. We don't have to be ashamed that it hasn't worked for us. But we do have to be ashamed of the fact that we keep plodding behind it and not trying to make the corrections that will help our people to survive.
He wants to keep us in this condition. He wants to keep us separated from our man, because he knows that.
Okay, so this is a continuation of I think it's a compilation of different videos, but I feel like this video has gone on long enough, and my point still remains, and I agree with the sister. I agree, excuse me, 100% with her. And I would like to unpack more of this, and I feel like this is an introduction to the series that I want to make about this conversation. This is a very interesting conversation about family, community development, because a community is made out of different families, and we know that everything starts at home, and the best place for you as a person to start is to start at home. More than your home, to start with yourself. So if you start with yourself and you're doing the proper work that you're supposed to be doing, and your partner is doing the same thing, it's easy for you to pass it on to the children, because you don't even need to teach them. They'll just be seeing and watching you. So thank you guys for watching my video. It was an introduction to a series of videos that I'm gonna be making talking to this subject. I would really also like to, review other YouTubers and what they think. I feel like there's a toxic message out there, especially from the manosphere. The message, if the message is not to work together, and if the message is not for you to eventually have a family, I don't understand what it's all about. Is it about men being douchebags? In as much as I feel like there's a whole lot of toxicity that is going on in the women's sphere, for lack of a better word, what is the end goal? What are we trying to achieve? Are we trying to achieve good people? Are we trying to develop good families, good relations? What are we trying to achieve? Are we bashing each other for what? Are we developing each other through these feedback sessions that we see around? So guys, let's have these conversations in a healthy way, with an intention to grow, an intention to find solutions, not just for views and popularities and all this. So I said my 5 cents. It's gone longer than I wanted it to do. That's why I even stopped the video halfway. So guys, thank you for watching my video. I will continue to make a series of these follow-ups on this conversation. It is a very interesting conversation. I feel like she lays down a lot of nice points. See you on the next video, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I am trying to grow my channel, so please help me with doing that. Don't forget to like it if you like the conversation, like the video, and tell me why if you dislike it. Tell me why you dislike it. I love feedback. I really love feedback. It makes me a better person. And comment, tell me what you think about this conversation, and I will check you on the flip side. Toodles.